Hi, everyone. For the first 1 minute of our program, I'll be doing the kinds of things that I suggest to you to do. I'll be doing the kinds of things that I think are great to do, which is to be silly in front of someone, to demonstrate taking a risk, to be completely silly in front of someone. So this is week 2 of me learning to play the cello. But since I'm calling this the Cello Series of Business and Life, I figure I should play a note or two. So as we're getting ready, these are the note or two from this week. That's awesome that my timer is letting me know it's time to stop playing. That's awesome. Okay, so you really know it's live. You've heard me do, just the first line. I really was going to do one more line, so I will do that on the next episode. It's so weird to do this live and to put the cello down. Okay, so it's a good thing that bravery is in my top 5 strengths, because week 2 of playing the cello is, let's say, not amazing yet. So let me adjust the camera and let me join you for talking today about learning. What am I learning? Oh my gosh. It's almost like I'm shaking. I mean, really, I'm on week 2 of learning the cello. Welcome to the Cello Series. This is number 4 of how to apply things to your business and life, specific tools based on the similar way as you might learn a cello. And I am demo patient number 1. I really am learning the cello. Whew. So I love the cello. I think it makes a ridiculously beautiful sound. And I want to make that ridiculously beautiful sound. And so I'm working on it. Twinkle, Twinkle is the first song. What I want to share with you today is when you're trying something weird, new, feel free to jump into the comments and tell me what you think for yourself of trying something weird and new. When you're trying something weird and new, it's great to have a mantra in your head or something that is motivating. So I will tell you what's not motivating for myself when I'm learning the cello. What's not motivating is knowing that so many other people are so much better than me, that it's so hard to get a beautiful sound sometimes. Those are all hard. But what makes me a little more patient is when I ask myself the question, what am I learning? I'm doing practice, I'm moving forward in practice, but what am I learning? And I'll give you one key story and then a couple of bits of research about why you might want to incorporate this into your life. This question, what am I learning? One of the first story, which I really love, and as I tell you this, I'll tell you, learning the cello is about practicing the same things again and again. And I think I've shown you this, just even this hold. It's so effortful for me, but also so important to just keep practicing holding the cello bow. And similarly, it's so effortful for us to try something new. It's so effortful. But if we check in on what am I learning, you can see, oh, I actually can draw a whole bow. Last week, I was only drawing, this distance, very short, not the whole bow. Last week, I couldn't transition from note to note. So small things like that. But here's a story that really made an impact on me. A friend of mine who is an executive coach, she was chatting with her parents about, as we all chat with our parents and update them on what we're doing. And one of her parents asked her, hey, are you happy? And she said, and after months of this kind of question at the end of phone calls, she said, that's not the question that motivates me most. I wonder if you could ask me, am I learning, or what am I learning? And that story made an impact on me. I think it's delightful to have the open-mindedness to focus on what am I learning? So let's say it was a hard week. Let's say I wasn't happy this week, these couple of weeks, this month. But what am I learning? So in the context of that, let me bring you to where we all are today and give you a few things that you can take with you and learn as well. In the context of where we are, this is Cello Series number 4. We did 3 last week and we'll do 3 this week. Generally, you're starting to see that the structure is that I choose a theme and then I touch on it from 3 different angles. Last week, the theme was beginning. And the 3 angles were what's a ritual we can make around beginning. And that was when I invited you to set a 10-minute appointment with yourself in the morning, a 5-minute appointment in the mid-afternoon, and a 10-minute at the end of the day. And that could have any question you wanted. For example, it could have today's question. So you might start, I'm already showing you how you might incorporate this. You might put, as I have for this week, a post-it on your computer. As you saw, I just took off from my computer. What am I learning? And in that ritual that we did for Cello Series number 1, which was, hey, what's a question you could ask yourself in the morning before you start work, mid-afternoon, and at the end of your workday or the end of your regular day? I invite you to add this question to that same routine. So the routine is the same, that there are 3 times in the day when you're asking yourself a question. But what if you added this as the question? All right, so we did that. Then we did on day number 2, we did taking something away. And at that time, I had told you about my environment. Gosh, can I actually step off this? So I've cleaned out this room so I can play cello. I subtracted from the environment. And on the 3rd day, we talked about adding to the environment. First, we subtract, and then we add. And the thing that I invited you to add is to add the music of your life. And I know that sounds poetic, but what I really mean is, what is a theme that you want to keep hearing? What's something that you want to keep knowing? So for example, for me, it's that regularly I try to pick up this bow. For example, regularly, it's that I listen to the Suzuki cello music. But it's also regularly that I ask myself, what am I learning? Or that it's regularly that I ask myself, what is the way that I can move farther on this big project? So that was the adding. We did setting the environment, the ritual, then we did subtracting, then we did adding. Today, we're adding this specific question. So I'm going to give you 2 ways of using it, and then I'm going to give you 2 research bases for why you should be so excited about the question, what am I learning? You know, I'm an executive coach. You know, we have a phenomenal company of executive coaches, Silicon Valley Change, my coach by Silicon Valley Change. And as coaches, one of the last questions that we ask at the end of every coaching session, and I have a coaching session today, I'll be asking it at that one. One of the questions we ask is, what have you learned about this situation? We also ask, what have you learned about yourself? And then we talk about actions as well. But this learning piece, don't give it short shrift. There's something so deep, so encompassing there. Let me give you another example. I was just speaking with my parents actually this weekend, and they were saying, it's so funny, my kids are in elementary school. Isn't it hard for you, for me, Senia, isn't it hard for you to remember exactly what they looked like when they were tiny, when they were 1 week old or 1 month old? And I said, actually, it's not super hard for me to remember that. But probably the reason it's not super hard is that I've seen photos of them at 1 month old, at 1 week old. And I see those photos from time to time. I look at them every once in a while. So I now have 2 different memories, the actual memory, and then this memory of the photos that reminds me of the actual time. What do you think is happening when you ask yourself this question? What am I learning? One thing that's happening is that you're cementing that idea into your head. So let's say you've just had a project that's mid-project and you've done a review of what's going on. What are you learning? You've now cemented those ideas. You have a 1-hour discussion with someone. What am I learning? You have a tense situation that you walk away from. What am I learning about how I conducted myself? What I could do? So each time it's almost like, I'm trying to think of a metaphor. It's almost like whatever you have, let's say a rock, and you're gold plating it. You're kind of just cementing what that thing is. You're making it just that much stronger, whether it's a memory or an idea. Many people, I don't happen to do this. I've tried it, it's not a great fit for me. But so many of my colleagues and coaching clients, they write in a journal. And what does that do? That cements those things for themselves, whether they're writing what they're learning or impressions of what happened. And when you do that, you may have heard this, many people have said this, when you write in a journal or write down your ideas, it's almost like you live twice, when in the actual event, but also in your recounting of it to yourself. So all of those are anecdotal examples, but now let me give you actual research examples of why you might want to do this. So first of all, there's a different kind of memory. Your memory of the actual event opposed to your memory of something that's much more concrete, like when you ask yourself, what am I learning? Your memory functions in different ways, and it's easier to recall. So if there are points in your day when you actually pause and you ask yourself this question, those points are the points that will be easier to recall. Almost like if you're watching a YouTube video, they're almost like those points, those intermission points between the sections. So that's one item of research. The second one, which is one of my favorite and something that I looked in depth at when I was doing my PhD work, is learning goals versus outcome goals. Which goals do you think are triggered by what am I learning? Obviously, this is what Homer Simpson calls a rhetorical question. This is a rhetorical question. And what's nice about learning goals is that they make you much more at peace. Like even me with my little twinkle twinkle on week 2 of learning the cello, a learning goal is that I can now do a whole bow's length of drawing the bow. A learning goal is that I know the notes to Twinkle Twinkle and to 2 other songs. Those are learning goals. And learning goals, we don't beat ourselves up for learning goals because we don't have the expectations of we have this outcome. We've done this. A learning goal is that we're constantly in progress, that we're taking in information. We just evaluate them in different ways. So for all of those reasons, that our recall is going to be clearer, almost like we can pinpoint to that point in a YouTube video or in a search. And our learning goal is going to make us feel more at ease. For those reasons, I invite you to do this. Add this to your repertoire of how you speak to yourself. This whole week is about how we speak to ourselves and to ideas around us. So how do you speak to yourself? What if you added the question, what am I learning? Thanks for joining me today. We have a phenomenal week for you this week. We have Yashi back tomorrow. She's going to be talking about self-awareness. We have Joe with us, Joe Sullivan with us on Thursday. I'm thrilled about that. In the middle, I'll continue to do these cello sessions. Joe Sullivan is a leader I've had a chance to meet in several different ways, and he's got a top 5 of leadership that I think you'll love. He was an SVP at Logitech for many, many years and did a phenomenal work for them. So I invite you to keep joining us this week. Feel free to drop into the comments. What are you taking away? What are you taking away? Actually, let me change my question for today. So I often ask you, what's your takeaway? Today, I'm going to ask you, what are you learning? What are you learning about yourself? Or what are you learning about this tool of asking, what am I learning? What are you learning? Let me know in the comments. I'll just hang out here and see what you say as you say it. Do I dare? I'm going to finish the twinkle twinkle. As you give the comments, I'm going to finish the twinkle twinkle. This might work, this might not. Let's see what happens. All right. Twinkle, twinkle, little. Here we go. Let me know what you are learning. Wow, I'm super blurry. It's a short video. Super, super blurry, short video. Here we go. All right. Twinkle, our friend Twinkle. Thanks for joining us. See you again tomorrow. All the best.